strategy beats tactics.
Yeah.
But culture eats strategy for breakfast.
For breakfast, yeah.
And I just like, whoa. Culture will shift everything because culture is tectonic, like in how it moves.
Yeah.
You know? Culture isn't asking for permission. Culture is stuff that is inherently here because it works.
Yeah.
You know? Culture is things that have been positioned for swag. Dope, that's great, you know?
Yeah.
But culture is also about understanding your own value.
Sure. Yeah.
Daps are cool and everything. It's great to get, recognition.
Yeah.
But I realized that it's more important to get reward.
Yeah.
What are we paid?
Okay.
What am I winning awards for?
Yeah.
Low budget, high impact. Who's that feeding?
Yeah.
Is that the corner I'm going to be relegated to forever? Always, it's so clever.
Yeah.
All this result.
Yeah.
For all of this investment.
Yeah.
Bruh.
But when
It's rigged. Rigged. I'm chasing my tail here trying to win awards. But shit, that's rigged.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I want recognition.
Yeah.
I think when you're working with a team, they want to feel the impact of their work.
Sure.
They want awards.
Yeah.
They want to have
Yeah.
the mantle that I have for my career.
Yeah.
But it's more important to have reward.
Yeah.
What are you paid?
Yeah.
How does culture influence marketing?
It will always be relevant purely because of the fact that it helps keep you honest. It keeps you at the curve of what is going on.
Marketing needs to move at the speed of culture.
Which plays a role in shaping our sense.
Welcome to the Culture Code podcast. In this podcast, we'll be telling stories of how influential culture is in business. You'll hear from some of the African culture curators on how culture can be used to drive good results through marketing and advertising campaigns. Now, here's the host of the Culture Code podcast, Tebogo K.
Today we're chilling with the roaring lioness of advertising industry, Rorisang Setlogelo.
Yay!
Yay, what's up, Rory?
I'm good. How are you
good?
doing?
I'm good.
So happy to be here. So pretty.
The lioness. Did I get it right?
The lioness. You're right.
I get it right, hey?
You're right.
Yay, man. Yay.
Rorisang, short for.
Yeah.
Raw.
But did you see what I did there?
I see what you did. I see what you did.
Quite cool, eh?
And you're right. You're right.
You're roaring.
I am definitely roaring.
Yeah. Let's get it.
Let's get it, bro.
Let's get it.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So yeah, man. Well, thank you very much, man, for gracing us with your presence on Culture Code.
So excited to be here. I'm so happy and honored that you invited me.
Yeah, you're looking
Just to
looking
bring
proper
something-
there.
Yeah, we're gonna bring something different. The podcast why did you invite about what's that? Let's say bookie makeup le hair.
No,
So
what's that- the
even
pod-
on
The podcast is hands over utlole the way.
yeah. The way you batlang.
No, maro umuntle mus. Hunso hole khali.
What do you mean? I woke up like this.
Yeah, there you go. Right? Yeah. Like I mean you don't need no makeup.
Not a stitch.
Right?
Except every other day.
Yeah, man. So yeah, you wanna tell us about Kimhang Rory, where you from?
Yeah, I think, at the heart of me is a Tswana girl. That's just who I am. My family is from Mahikeng and Tabanchu. I grew up in Tabanchu until, they moved out to Pretoria, put me in boarding school in Bloem. Eventually they moved back to Bloem. And I kind of became a Bloem girl as well, And how that has shaped me, I think, is I really enjoy where I'm from. I enjoy that insular sort of like very removed sense of growing up with just your peers and not really the world and macro issues interrupting, the forming of us. So, I mean, I went to a school that's 160 years old. It's a girls' school, as in boarding school. And I think, there was a lot of being indoctrinated in that culture as well, which is very sort of, girls, in a girls' school, you're about, all these incredible things women can do. And you just kind of become, it's a girl shaped in a culture that has a lot to offer. But I think at the same time, like, I'm just somebody who was really, really nurtured to, be about, like, where I come from. So that just means that at the heart of me, like I'm a Tswana girl.
Yeah.
It's
So-
a highly high English fela.
Yeah.
Really busy ka Setswana. Like
So tla bo ba tlhatlhamolla.
one tlhaloganya. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm from Mafikeng actually as well.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh my God, my family's from Unit 8, that side.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very close to my heart.
Yeah.
I love that place.
So I'm moving from Mafikeng to Blom.
So I never moved. My mom moved to Mafikeng at a stage. She was based there. She didn't really like, when her career moves her to always uproot us. If we are like in school, etc., and we're doing our thing, she'll go a year, come back, So invariably, like we had like just structure and anchoring, and I was always schooling, in Tabanchu, then Pretoria, then in Bloem boarding school, and those were the only 3 moves school-wise, right? So I think, I don't know, like it's a bit of a nostalgic place, Mahikeng, because so much family come there. Like I had so many firsts there. Like I used to love going there. I had my sweet 16th in Mahikeng, like all of these great things, Rabanaba, Mabatu Cultural Center, those are the kinds of things that I think are so dope about being from, small towns like that, where you just sort of, you have a becoming and you develop a point of view before you let the world mold you. And I think that's what I love about it.
Yeah. Jeez, man. Yo, Maftown. One of our crew members actually from Mafikeng, Spox. Yeah. Yeah. So this is a Mafikeng.
Okay. Batswana, ne?
Batswana.
Kisono, if you're not. Uma ka ho Motswana, bona le khala tile betere. He.
I think no. Thabang what's okay? Thabang what's warranted. Yeah, Thabang atu Mafikeng. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, man. I mean, so how'd you get in the industry?
Yeah, so I think the sort of intentionality about my career put me in specific moves at the right time and specific positions at the right time. So one of it is I chose to study at Wits University, and I'll tell you, I was there a month, like kind of orientation into beginning of March. And then I became a brand ambassador for BAT. I became a brand ambassador for Brutal Fruit. I became sort of clued into a lot of interesting things around culture and entertainment, because I became a part of the basketball committee, and my chair was entertainment chair of the basketball committee at Wits University. These things, I think, as well as being on the house committee for my res, as well as I think a sense of entrepreneurism was fueling sort of like a really early entry into the industry, so to speak. However, there were things that were paved. A lot of my family are either musicians or they are artists in some capacity, so I always had access and proximity. But I mean, I was just trying to be a marketer, right? That's why I was at school. So a few things happened. I ended up becoming a founder of a new sports club at Wits University, which was my first real sort of leadership role in life, because I decided to start the cheerleading club. It just seemed like a really, really good idea. There was a lot of support for Wits basketball, Wits soccer, Wits rugby, and I'm like, all these bench warmers like should be an institution,
Yeah.
And I went and I started the cheerleading club, and it's a whole process. And people charge their sporting clubs to their student card, so you're getting an income, and then we started getting paid to perform. For some of these clubs, specifically Wits rugby. The next thing I knew, some of those games, especially with Wits soccer, are televised. So accidentally, these girls are becoming sort of, developing like big social media followings. At the time, I'm developing a profile. I get spotted early into joining, things like just like my early corporate moves. So it was really insane because all of those things, it's like, when they say nothing's for naught, like it all starts adding up. So by the time I knew it, my career had spanned banking, had spanned the like sort of bottling as well as beverages, and then I joined sort of South African breweries, which is where I was for the longest time. But I was on very entrepreneurial brands. I was on Miller, Peroni, Grolsch, Pilsner-Urquell, on their international premium brands portfolio. So what ended up happening is just that the industry, I guess, found me like ready and moving and shaping how I thought things should work.
So you kind of knew that you wanted to be in marketing.
I knew I was going to be a
Yeah.
marketer, right?
Yeah.
I knew that it's just a great segue to everything I was interested in,
Yeah.
When I was coming up, it was writing. That was really, really like my medium. And then when I was growing into it, it started becoming almost something a little bit more holistic. I did film, I did a stint in broadcasting, I did a stint in editing, stint in music, scoring, etc. for productions. So it started I did a stint at a visual communications agency. So I did all of these things that started becoming like a POV in terms of what I was taking into my creative campaigns, So it was really interesting. Like, I think I never imagined I would have a role in the industry because I didn't set out to. Like, I just imagined I'd have a role in shaping communications, and that kind of brought with it a host of other things that weren't my initial focus. Yeah.
Jeez, man. So now from SAB, so you immediately from SAB you started Roth?
I did. So I started Roth right away.
Yeah.
My last year at SAB was 2011, right?
Yeah.
I left end of September. I remember I was gone and I was still sort of consulting on the brand, because by the time I left, I think I was the longest serving person on Peroni, Nastro Azzurro, and that meant that everyone's like, bro, where's this? Then where's that? So I literally was still helping for like another 2 months. However, I really just wanted to start Roth. I really wanted to gun it. I think when you're young, you're just braver. So you almost have to try and do the thing that you're passionate about when you're young.
Yeah.
With everything I know now, would I have still done it? I guess entrepreneurship is also a disposition, it's a character thing.
Yeah.
I probably would have ended up in something entrepreneurial anyway. Would I have chosen marketing? I don't know, it's hard, It's not an industry that is necessarily transformed. I found opportunities to be hard to come by. I found the earning gaps to be significant. And I found that, man, it's all my life I've got to fight.
Yeah.
You're
You're still fighting.
bruh.
Yeah.
How many years later?
Yeah.
So I guess I'm here because I think I've got a role to play. I think I can make the journey easier for people coming after me.
Yeah.
I think I can position us in rooms that we don't traditionally access. I think I can help shape the woman agenda in the industry, because it's super male dominated advertising, marketing, and I think I can shape with great specificity and with great nuance sort of how we are seen in media, because media helps inform culture. So I just think it's really important how we are viewed in media, because that's what's gonna literally make or break young people coming up. Representation, all these things. If we're not represented well, and who can represent us if we're not taking it on to tell our own stories?
100%.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, well, you just spoke about now the transformation issue in the industry,
Yeah.
our industry. And particularly also we have an issue also where it's not, there's not enough women representation.
Yeah.
I think, what do you think is that in terms of I think women, why are we don't see a lot of women
Yeah, I think women are underrepresented because I think they're undermined, right? When I was starting, some people would refer to my business as Banyana ba le ba PR.
Oh.
Or bosi ba di events.
Hey, sir.
Or
Yeah.
Banyana tse di snacks tse gore, you know? And I was just going out and representing our service offering as essentially integrated, but also essentially full service. I'm like, I went out there and I'm like, we're a full service agency.
Yeah.
People are like, with what army? You know,
Oh.
who King, where's the big building? Where are the 300?
Where's the white guy?
Seats? Where are the people?
Yeah.
Where's the money?
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
and it was just really, really interesting because I think I sought insights outside of our industry, and that's why. So I looked at what was going on in New York a lot in terms of up and coming agencies in New York and in Chicago. I would look at how these guys tap into culture, entertainment, utilizing advertising and marketing communications. And I would look at the fact that they call on their networks as almost relational capital and as almost the way they're able to create the campaigns and the work that they do, you know?
Yeah.
So I was like, so I don't need to have 300 people working for me to achieve like great things that shift culture. And once that insight had been embedded in me, it was late.
Yeah.
It was late.
Yeah.
Because I knew like, like I know everybody.
Galgen.
I've like,
Yeah.
we are within, you
Yeah.
know? Because I'd been serving the industry for 10 years when I started my my agency. So I felt like, nah, man. With the work I've done in corporate, I'd won every award I wanted. I'd done everything I wanted to do. Like I had a really great point of view, but I thought I needed money to start.
Yeah. And what client did you start with?
So my first client pitched and won for the agency, you know, I think was Peroni. I did an event for...
You're vibrating there.
I
You're vibrating there. Yeah.
did an event for Peroni called the Hip Hop Movement that they were sponsoring. I went
Hip Hop
from
Movement.
There, yeah.
Yeah.
I went from there into a, I think, like a comedy space. I did something called the Aromat Lokshin comedy series.
I think I remember
you know?
those. Yeah, that was you. Jeez, man. Yeah.
I did that. In that same year, I landed Uber as a client.
Wow.
You know, they're coming into the market.
Yeah.
So immediately we had then exposure to tech, and you know, building that business, and setting them up for their launch event into the market. Early campaigns, you know, include everything from, a topical pharma gel called, I forget this thing's name, but, you know, they were a client and we're like, cool, like we're gonna, you know, their whole campaign was to be in sporting arenas for action, netball, soccer, and cricket players because that's who's hurting themselves and that's who needs that topical cooling gel when they've, you know, so we were taking on everything to just demonstrate our work and to demonstrate what it is that we could do.
Yeah.
And at some point, we grew into being more intentional about the clients we work with. Then that was just dope because we started like crafting for what we like.
Yeah. So small team, big team, like with how many people did you start? Like, so
we grew from one person all the way up to about 45 to 50 in 2019.
Sure.
Just before COVID. And then COVID, and then all the way back down to like one person.
Yeah.
Last man standing.
One soldier. Yeah.
And then we really just rebuilt from there. You know, I had to retrench the team in 2022 in September. I was really, really proud of the fact that I didn't retrench anybody in 2020 at the start of COVID.
So you survived COVID?
2020, like only because of my mom, you know, she made a lot of sacrifices to make sure that my business, which she believed in so much, still stood. I mean, my mom in 2021 sold her house just so that the business had capital to just ride out COVID and just get us to the other side because she knew that you've grown so much from just starting off with nothing, like your provident fund, paying you a salary like from a unit trust somewhere, all the way to starting a business that was ready for scale, right?
Yeah.
And after we survived COVID, going into 2022, it was supposed to be a turnaround year for a lot of businesses. The market's starting to open up. All of us are starting to flex to see where we can pick up work. And we're getting a lot of contracts being terminated, I think the nature of it is we've been disrupted. We've been disrupted by tech in the industry. We've been disrupted by, constantly when clients move, the work is gone. They're no longer the new person has their people that they like working with, it's all manner of things. And invariably, for me, we had very, very long relationships with most of our clients. Some had been with us 8 years, 7 years, 6 years. We've been with our clients a really, really long time. And I just learned that the client environment is not quite as loyal as we think.
No, it's not.
I think we got comfortable.
Yeah.
I think we got comfortable, and that's always very dangerous. So now, coming out of 2022, going into 2023, I think the job was just to rebuild, get the business back up to where it was at in 2019. But because I've got more experience, I'm not really building the kind of business that's carrying a lot of overheads anymore, which was my prior model.
Yeah.
And it was a terrible model to go into a pandemic with. So now I'm hedging a lot more. I feel like my commercial acumen is stronger as an entrepreneur. And I feel like I wouldn't make the same sort of decisions now. So now I'm scaling a lot more tactically, a lot more profit driven, a lot leaner. Before, I used to go out of my way to create jobs in the industry.
Yeah.
But it's not my job to do that, I just don't have the means. But what I can continue to do is to create opportunity in the industry. And that doesn't put financial strain on what I'm trying to do. It doesn't put me in a situation where I'm overcompensating for the opportunities that aren't given to young people. It just allows me to just keep putting people on, but without being in a situation that is untenable for businesses like ours that don't have capital, that we have applied to everything. I was told, that if I'm a black woman going into this industry in a black owned as well as 100% woman owned business, that I would have support from all kinds of industry bodies, all kinds of trade bodies, and all kinds of government policies that are skewed towards like a BEE situation that would benefit me. I feel like that was all like a lie. A massive lie. And I feel like I was lulled into a false sense of security. I was always on my own. No one came.
So how crazy is it that, you survived COVID and, fast forward 2022, now you're retrenching people?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. End of the day, obviously that was still a COVID year in terms of the restrictions, right? However, what was going on is clients were moving out of, I think, the small business space because COVID sort of shows your hand. It forces your hand. If you're a network, you can capitalize campaigns for days. You can do this. I think it was just a safer space for clients to go to during COVID, to go to network businesses. But what I've learned since is that clients go to network businesses anyway. If 98% of spend goes to network businesses, it just shows you that they were going there anyway. Touches. They were gonna. Doesn't matter the reason. The culture of the industry is that clients work and prefer to work within network businesses, which leaves only 2% for local agencies across male-owned, women-owned, and then black women-owned and black men-owned. And by black, I mean in the broader sense to include obviously what would qualify for BE, etc. But remember I told you that BE was a dud. It wasn't a real thing. And nothing came from that. Nothing came from keeping ourselves in the game, right? Because when it was time for clients to show up, for our loyalties to them during COVID, a lot of them didn't have the same budgets. You know, we had to like fast bait, you know? They didn't just kind of, I think, have that loyalty. And I think it was entitled of me to believe that anybody owed me anything to begin with. And once you realize that, and you realize that you're operating at your own risk, and there is nothing, it's not a parachute, there's not a client relationship, there's not an industry for you. You have to create your own opportunities. Once I realized that, finally, I know why it took me 11 years, 12 years last year, and now the business is 13 this year. It took me long to learn that. And like once I did, you know, it was dope, because it's like I wasn't fazed by it, because I started moving differently.
Of course.
And moving better in it.
You gotta move better. You
Yeah.
gotta move different. That is, I mean, you know, it can't be. You can't be the same. I mean, after 10 years, 11 years,
No.
you start now seeing different things in a different way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I'm moving from a lot more, let's call it experience. So how I'm applying that is just, it's like I'm restructuring differently. Like I feel like I'm flexing differently.
Yeah.
I feel like I have like power insights now, and I know how to show up in a way that I'll go only where I'm valued. I'll go in places where I'm able to actually protect my teams,
Jeez.
because I don't like people to go through what they've had to go through in the name of us keeping clients that sometimes were so toxic for some of the people that I've worked with previously. And they used to tell me, and I thought, no, guys, we don't have an option. Like it's just, it is that way. Like you have to just, you know, like back up. You know? But no. Actually. Heck no. What are we? Are we beggars? Do we not deserve to be here in the industry? Should we take only the crumbs and be grateful for them while people gloat over our losses, our failures, our struggles? Ugh, man, fuck all of that. Like,
no. Fuck all of that, man.
Yeah.
Jeez. So now, how are you structured now? Are you? Because you said you are more lean now.
I
You're
am.
not.
So
So how many people you got now?
So it depends on the business and the division. So in the TV division right now, I think they're about 10 deep. Because what I did is I moved from exclusively a service business, a full service business at that, with vehicles that either did consulting and strategy, which is the Roth Media Group, businesses that did full service Marcoms, which is Roth Media Productions, or a business that did urban luxury, which is Resonate, or a business that did seeks to like drive sort of international clients and helping them localize, which is Maison Roth, right? I moved from that model to building tech. You know, building tech for a lot of our systems, like in how we develop PR campaigns and in how we service them, in how we show up for the influencer space, in how we show up for health clients, in how we show up for marketing and entertainment in general, even just entertainment as a category of industry and a client of our business. You know, we've developed and we are developing tech for a lot of things. So now that we've shifted our risk from just being service orientated, where you have to wait for a brief or you have to pitch for those briefs, and go into that process sometimes in prolonged sort of processes that don't necessarily pay you to pitch, right? And then you end up sort of like losing a lot of money, and sometimes it feels a bit like, can we compete actually? That company makes this, they have these resources to deploy. Can we actually compete in the way that the industry is currently set up? And sometimes it's like, no, we can't actually compete with how things are currently structured. And so we had to create advantages for ourselves elsewhere. So when I looked at what could become a product, and focusing on developing those products well, and then focusing on where it is that we're still going to be a service business, we are showing up with our best foot forward. So now we're just like doing like power campaigns, power insights, power executions, and maybe they'll sell our work. But
And what
if
is-
they don't sell our work, we don't depend on it.
What
We'll
is
find other
power?
opportunities.
What is power campaigns? Power.
Yeah.
What is that?
So if I look at the Barbie movie,
Sure.
everyone is so aware of what the marketing of that movie looked like. Everyone is aware of just that drip strategy of just first launching only the two actors, Ryan Gosling and Margot Robbie. We didn't know who else was in the movie. Those things were revealed down the line. There were all these merch deals. There were all these cross promotions. There were all these. It's a campaign that impacted not just our industry from a case study standpoint on what's possible when you have the investments to do what it is that will shift culture. But we also now know, just how much culture can shift for a moment that is created with great care in terms of its communication and its intention in a campaign and a purpose that, is there to serve its audience and there to serve its consumers really well. And then really dope things can happen. So I started looking for campaigns that fit my values. And I had to look at what are my values. I value creativity.
Yeah.
So if I'm not working with a client that allows me to be creative,
Yeah.
I can't do what.
You are not about the money. Yeah. You don't want the money.
This.
Yeah. You want you. But I hear what
Do you
you're
know what I'm
saying though. Yeah.
If I don't go to a
If it doesn't
place where I
serve
can
you,
add value, if I'm not going to a place where we can really, really, really synthesize and show up with what is important to us, which is humanity.
Yeah.
We want to be a citizen agency. Like I want to be an agency for other agencies.
Sure.
I want to be an agency and an industry player that's able to open doors.
Yeah.
Hence all of these networks that I'm a part of, all these transformation seats that I sit in, is to understand how to harness what's going to open doors while also serving the agenda of building my business. That's just really flat out where I'm at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where are you sitting? What rooms are you sitting in terms of transformation and what has been discussed there? I think.
Yeah.
I know you are in at BANA.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
I am. It's one that I'm extremely passionate about because it just brings the issue of transformation right, I think, at the door of our industry, but also with voices that are 200 deep in terms of the agencies that are represented in that community. 200 deep means we have quantitative data on what our experiences are over and above what the industry stats are, So it keeps me close to what's happening with people, keeps me close to understanding how it is that we can show up as consortiums and pitch work in a more scalable way, where we don't all have to go and build an an agency with 300 people. We can collaborate these opportunities in our own community. And then I realized how much work needs to still happen there for even within our own communities to trust each other for work and go into an abundance mindset instead of like a scarcity one. Because remember, when you're always like running around for the 2%, you forget to be and feel and show up for abundance because everything ki biki makmir.
And a little network.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one of the ones that I'm extremely passionate about. Those 200 agencies can become power players in this industry. I feel like it would just be like so dope,
But are those collaborations happening?
I think it's not just about the collaborations. It's about the development. It's about access to opportunities. Some of the things that, the CEO of the organization, a really good friend of mine, Tumi Muhube, she's about sort of developing the pitch support, developing the IP support. When you pitch and you share your ideas and someone bigger steals them, are you always able to go and find R500,000 to fight for your IP? In those moments.
Yeah.
So it's about all these other things that are like levers that aren't obvious, you know, that also play like a critical role in ensuring that, you know, our businesses can be more sustainable. Our businesses have great, intense and deep insights and creativity, but sometimes they don't have the backbone of industry, you know? They don't have the right accounting systems. They don't have the right billing systems. They don't have things that are autonomous, you know, that build tech into how you do things so you can do more. They don't have the right sort of legal structures to protect your IP as you operate in the world. Imagine being able to go out in the world almost like you have a trust fund.
Yeah.
Like, we would show up with so much more confidence and creativity than what we are limited to do currently.
Yeah.
Because we're showing up not even knowing whether we're going to win these pitches.
Yeah.
Kana kwating respendile on sa last number, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm also on the seat of the Interactive Advertising Bureau. I'm on the diversity and inclusion seat there for the Transformation Council.
Yeah.
I really believe in that organization. Buy into what they're doing. I buy into what they've done in terms of front row, bringing students into the front row of advertising and marketing communications. I believe in what they're doing around harnessing like the agencies that are in their network to do good and to add value. I love that they're a global organization and they're in rooms that you couldn't typically access by yourself. I love how they open those doors.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is like, I think it comes down to I love the industry.
Yeah.
And I want it to be magical and special and better. And I guess that's why I work so hard.
But Rory, these organizations, they tend to be a little bit expensive in terms of, you know, the membership. I mean, some agencies are way too small, especially black agencies.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so I don't know. I mean, how
Yeah.
much? I don't know how much, you know, these organizations charge in terms of when you want to be a member.
Yeah.
But I do know that there's that the fees are quite hefty in terms of you know, you being one of the member.
Yeah,
one
I'll
of the
tell
members.
you one thing though. School fees in business is more expensive than fees for your own support and fees that are going to enable you. Like,
Is it a guarantee though?
o batla go hutla ka letlalo.
No, but is it a guarantee
La
though?
wena le batla go
That,
hutla ka letlalo. Le lona. Let me tell you something. Like, I think people don't understand the power of networks still. It's like, we get told like, oh, network. We don't know what it means. We don't know how to show up for that. We don't know how to direct that and convert that into opportunity, right? I'll tell you an example of my most expensive network that I'm a part of is a 70,000 Rand.
there you go.
Like ticket per year.
Yeah.
That year I joined that organization, my billings doubled.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I wasn't billing a little. I was billing, I think at the time, 8 or 9 million. I finished the very next fiscal on 16 to 18 million.
Sure. Because of that network.
Because of that network. And it's not because somebody gave me a project in the network.
Yeah.
They gave me access to solutions, access to, you know, where can I capital raise? There's a plug. Where can I do this? There's a plug. So the school fees I've paid for the things I've learned the hard way, just starting up as an entrepreneur.
It was worth it.
Yes, no, like the school fees are too hefty. Being part of networks that are enabling is so worth it. Rather than hutla ka letlalo.
But this one that you're talking about, is it international, local?
It's international.
International, yeah.
I'm a part of that international
What is
network.
it? Share.
It's
Reply,
the,
Kejo.
it is. It's the Entrepreneurs Organization.
Yeah.
It's the World Entrepreneurs Organization, and it's a really high value community.
Yeah.
It's got very specific, I think, benefits, which because they were founded in 1987, they've been able to articulate and distill their value over time. And where they're at right now, for example, is, you get access to great learning journeys because they have all these amazing programs with like all these Ivy League spaces. If you look at things like MIT, Creative Lab, if you look at Harvard, they're plugged into all of those things. Wharton, you name it. So if you have a specific focus where you're like, I want a learning journey, what you will be able to access and at the price you're able to access it at is the equivalent of somebody who sits in a massive global organization or big business that's able to send them on these executive leadership or executive sort of like qualifications in these organizations, right? So you can actually reach that level with just your small business just because of the company you keep.
Hundreds.
And that's just one example. I mean, they've got networking journeys, they've got forums which are, it's like having a board, like a personal board.
Is that why you're always traveling?
No, I actually haven't traveled with them yet, even though there's like loads of travel opportunities with them. I travel for work, I haven't been able to do any personal travel in a really long time, because I guess I prioritize reinvesting and stabilizing my foundation before it's really hard to work-life balance in our industry, and it's really hard to be intentional about looking after yourself. And entrepreneurs typically reach last. So it's that kind of thing. It's like I've got to disrupt myself to remember to take care of myself. But I am trying to be a lot more intentional about that kind of thing.
You spoke about your one of your first clients being Uber. So you've done international clients.
Mostly. Most of my career is global brands anyway.
Oh, okay.
And it's like I just kind of became a global brands fundi. And I guess my speciality was localizing global brands, because our consumer today is really about the individual collective in terms of how they're represented. People don't want to fit a mold. They don't want to be like they're curating a lot more. They're curating from their content on social media all the way down to, and I don't mean being a creator. I mean even what you pay attention to. It's much harder to reach a consumer today because of how much they're curating. Style is so curated. Look at you.
Thank you.
Everything you've put together is about telling a story and representing something about yourself, right? All of these things like speak to almost hyper targeting and hyper nuance in our industry. I love showing up for that. Because I just think that even though that's how it plays out from a comm standpoint, we're still united in so many things, and it forces deeper insight, it forces a deeper understanding. But when you have a world that's evolved into that kind of consumer, and you treat it like opportunity, you are able to just really push the boundaries of the work that you're trying to do. So when you are offering them now global brands and you're telling them that's who has value, sometimes they'll believe you.
Sometimes they
if
don't.
they buy into the brand itself.
So who you
Sometimes they'll tell you like, I must stay easy. What do you mean?
So who you working with internationally?
Internationally, I work with I don't know if I can really speak to a lot of this work. Let me maybe just lean into one.
Okay.
I work with a lot of alcohol brands that are global brands.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of them have French provenance. Let me say that.
Okay.
So I work with a couple of brands that work in the Champagne region. I work with a couple of brands that work, that are whose provenance stems from the Cognac region.
Ooh.
Let me put it like that. Without plugging anybody. So I mean that lets me travel quite a bit. However, I also am a TV producer, right? And some of the content that I'd have to shoot for will include anything from Fashion Week to music videos.
Yeah.
You know, like it just all depending. So all my travel last year was for work.
Yeah.
I think there's something wrong with that, because when you travel for work, you're not free to see and explore.
You are busy.
You're on someone's back. So especially their back overseas, if their back is in rands.
Yeah.
But counter the production days
Hore, yeah.
go dirwa sengwe in mo
Yeah.
nakong e
In nakong
ha
e.
le hetsa tsamayang.
Tsamayang.
You know.
Yeah. Le ska
They're
dula
not
mo
gonna give
dihoteleng
you
tsa rona.
bond.
Yeah.
So it's not sometimes like I mean, it's great to do the work, and obviously it's great to be in a lot of like special environments that are creative, that are a privilege to even have access to. But I'd love to travel. Wouldn't you just love to travel just for your interests?
Yeah, sure.
Travel just for your hobbies.
Right.
Travel because you're curious.
Yeah.
Imagine like we still can't do that.
No, but it's I mean,
Ikae tjhelete.
Chelete, yeah, it's very expensive to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
don't want to ipatala. Why?
So
it just all comes back to transformation.
So
I guess.
you work with social media influencers a lot, hey?
I do.
Yeah.
So my business went into content marketing really, really early.
Sure.
Like I said, because I was looking at sort of 13 years ago how agencies were launching in New York, how they were launching in Chicago, and then I consulted.
Yeah.
I really believe in consulting, you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes just go have a coffee with a person, find out shit, find out what they do, all these things. So anyway, I consulted with a company that had hired a business development director whose background was JP Morgan and in M&A. And I was like, that's an interesting agency hire. Like, why would they do that? And then I saw like he just brings a whole different thing around acquisition and scale, but also it's like they come in and they do like a valuation of your selling proposition as an agency. And that's where I found out things like your network can be your value proposition.
Sure.
You know, whereas I think we look at our networks, you know, it's like, yeah, great, I've got influential friends, great, I've got access to influence, great, maybe I'm influential in certain rooms, but we don't harness it. And this business development director harnessed this proposition around your network is actually your value. That's your relational capital. And it was across every kind of creative, from writers, photographers, videographers, because I'd done everything from TV to eventing. I'd done all the lines, above, through, below, you know? So it was just a situation where I think, just to answer you, I work with a lot of influential people, and I specifically have been in the seat of pioneering influencer marketing, which before then was really pioneering brand ambassadors, which I've been doing since 2006.
Yeah, since SAB.
Since SAB.
Yeah. Okay. You guys had a stint with Mihlali Ndamase?
We did. Well, I'll always work with Mihlali.
Yeah.
You know, I really like how she's curated and built up her brand. I really like how she shows up for her industry. I don't even mind if like, you know, what she has to do will affect my business, because I think we all have to do what's in our best interests. And we have to keep improving this industry. I think what we find is the industry doesn't really pay fast enough to meet our need states. You know, sometimes, and I don't know in your business, but I've got clients that pay in 30, 60, 90, 120 days.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, jeez.
And
120 days. It's crazy.
what are you going to do, right? To capitalize this work and capitalize this business in the middle. So for me, when I hear influencers cry out on social media for money, I don't think in terms of, I think in terms of how can we resolve that problem? Because it creates a lot of brand erosion to obviously have association with things that it's like you want to harness content and influencer marketing for positive equity, building communications and not, you know? So for me, it's really what inspired me to start my tech, which makes it possible for influencers to get paid immediately. And a brand manager or marketing manager can literally put eyes on content that's flighting, speak to the quality of it, be comfortable with the value exchange between the influencer, and immediately like if they approve, it immediately pays the influencer, and that's what I've been working on.
So you're
for 3
building
years.
that technology.
Absolutely, and I'm really excited because I think that what's happening socioeconomically is, and this is beyond mega influencers. If I come and look at micro influencers, people don't have jobs. And social media is another way for us to earn and stabilize ourselves financially. You know, it means something to us. It's there are people that have become financially independent by being in the creator economy, right? In a country with the youth unemployment rates that we are sitting with, like, of course, influencer marketing, content marketing, creator economies are how young people are going to make money when you can't access jobs.
But
so let's try and find a way to pay them.
How
better.
difficult is it working with these guys? Because I know, I mean, I've had stories where clients sometimes go straight to influencer marketers to to work with them, and sometimes these guys are also a little bit like hard to work with. I mean, how have you found that?
No, they're not hard to work with
They're
at
not
all.
hard to work with.
They're typically very amazing people. For you to create commerce on on social media, do you know how intentional and consistent you have to be? I think people are extremely dismissive about the work people are. I mean, even building a podcast to success is really about consistency, intent, quality of content, quality of engagement. All of these things are a long game, and we spend a lot of time like wanting to apply like a weird lens to these new industries and new sort of content commerce spaces, right? I do not. I've worked with 100 of the biggest people on social media. You know, most of my campaigns have been with massive leads. They're always great to work with. When they have an issue, I try and take a view of empathy first, and then I try and look at what's in the best interest of my client, and try and be a mediator between those two spaces. It's really hard sometimes, because these are people's livelihoods. And I care. I care like a whole lot about what Black people, specifically Black women, take home at the end of the month. Because I know that Black women, I mean, we all know that Black women stretch the rand for the community. I don't want anything to get in the way of that. I know there are clients that are trying to make the right investments within that space. Of course, they're doing it for the value of the brands, but we also do it for the purpose that it creates, and the intention that unlocks opportunities to create earnings for Black women. Why on earth would I say no? It's not. They're not difficult to work with. No one is difficult to work with. This shit is just like lies. Why? Who's trying to lie about people and lie on them, and why? You know who?
Who?
People that are trying to monetize what creators do at the expense of creators.
Culture vultures. I don't karaba man. Got this mihlali thing.
No, like I think people have.
I get it. There was a thing there. Wasn't there a thing there?
It's like I think for you, that was gonna be like your moment in the content for like controversy, but it wasn't controversial. Why would it be controversial for somebody to try and understand what's happening with their earnings or their business? Is it new for someone to go to social media to try and get access of their money or anything like that? No. I mean, really, let's think about why it's framed for controversy.
But so you agree that it's framed? It was framed for controversy?
No.
But it was blown out of.
I don't think so. I think that if I have a big following and it's in my best interests, I'll do with that following whatever I want to do.
Oh, okay.
I mean, must put out money, put out songs like Rihanna, bitch better have my money. Like what do we want people to do? People do what they have access to to try and get resolution to their problems.
Hundreds,
Now,
I hear
if you
you.
are an accountable person,
Yeah.
you will be trying to get resolution for their problems.
Yeah.
Instead of sitting there on social media, getting offended, get
Yeah.
there and solve problems that
Yeah.
that enable people and enable things. I just think at the end of the day, there's a lot of cheap shots that happen at the expense of creators and influencers. I am untainted by whatever anybody, whoever has anything to say about me. My brand is in my character.
Sure.
Therefore, I can only be guilty of the things that I do and
Yeah.
take responsibility for. And if you're an entrepreneur, aren't you guilty of everything? Don't you take accountability for everything?
You do?
Doesn't the buck stop with you?
It does.
Because it's people's livelihoods, right? So why must I be? It's not my moment to be offended about anything.
Yeah.
My approach is, okay, cool. What's happening? What's the issues? How are we resolving like communication? To create better channels of access to our businesses. Are we too small to, show up for every, tidbit of comms and email with like rapidity? Do we need to upweight our client service teams or our production service teams to ensure that there is like more and more efficient comms? At the end of the day, an entrepreneur looks for solutions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that's the thing. Like, I think it was a thing maybe for other people.
Yeah.
My whole thing is, are people safe? Can I look after them? What can I do to make things better?
Yeah.
That's my whole thing.
That's it.
Yeah. And therefore, and I fully believe in an accountable society. Go out.
Yeah.
Cancel me.
Yeah.
You think I should be canceled? Go do your thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
What you're gonna get in response is always gonna be my accountability, my protection of my business where
Yeah.
I need to.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get it twisted. Like, I'll protect my business beyond. I'll go every legal route. I'll go every route to make sure that our ideas, our processes, our people are protected. Our
Your money is protected,
stakeholders
yeah.
are protected.
Yeah.
And that includes everyone that works with us on a thing.
Yeah.
And if we're guilty of something, it's been 13 years.
Yeah.
You can find 100% of the time accountability on my side,
Yeah.
apology on my side, ownership on my side. If it's something that I've got to take on the chin,
Yeah.
I'm trying to be here for the next 100 years. I won't be, if I'm going to David Ogilvy it, not every campaign and not every situational sort of moment is going to define you. What's going to define you is your vision, your legacy, what you're showing up for.
Yeah.
Like I told you, what I'm showing up for is a mother that protected me in an industry that couldn't.
Yeah.
I'm showing up for a mother that invested in me at the expense of herself and her other children
Yeah.
to save my business because she believed in it. If she believed in it, should I show up for it like a bit like Lasta? Should I make it fodder for social media? Nah.
Yeah.
Like, I'll take you out if
Yeah.
you do the wrong thing with me. I'll
Yeah.
put you out of business.
Yeah. Bye, leader.
Yeah. I think that when I started off, I was really, really angry, disappointed. Down the line, that's a human. And his business is struggling.
Yeah.
Can I relate to that?
Yeah.
Can I?
Yeah, you can.
right.
You're a business woman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 So, in the end, it was just such a sad thing.
Yeah.
Because suppose opportunities weren't made right for us.
Yeah.
Opportunity creates weird things in our industry. But my heart and where it's at right now is to kind of bring more protections in, both for clients as well as struggling producers in the industry. Just because you're struggling, must you be condemned? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's a very different person to, like, I have many legal cases that you can that you can go and look into, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know if you know, but like one of the first cases in the country of a family member suing another family member is Setlogelo versus Setlogelo.
Well, I
In
don't.
like the late 1800s or early 1900s, something crazy like that.
Yeah.
We're not above utilizing everything possible to create protections for our industries, our businesses, and all those things. But I've come to value the human story a little bit more. Before, I would have condemned and relegated people to legal bodies and to things like, I think to things like, debt collectors or whatever. But it's like I've evolved because I realize also what I'm chasing could potentially be written off because the legal cost of it are going to almost be higher than what I'm trying to recoup.
Yeah.
And someone like a CMO, a really big CMO in the industry, one day he just said to me, it's just school fees. It's school fees. What do we think? Do we think we're infallible to school fees in the work that we do?
Yeah.
That's so crazy, right? So for me, I mean, in the end, like, it's really about like being human first now. And now knowing that I'm fighting for 2% of the pie, I'm realizing that those 2% might be tempting and creating desperate Black agencies and desperate Black production companies. And I just don't want to be a part of that. I want to flip that model and say, how do I create enabled and abundant Black creatives and enabled and abundant Black agencies and enabled and abundant creators, and enabled and abundant influencers? How do I make sure I'm changing people's lives with the opportunities that I have access to? Because if I'm fighting for so little,
So what happened with the case? It's gone. It's done.
no, I think it's not about the case. The case is going to be in the hands of who's got the better lawyers and who's going to stand in the right.
Yeah.
I think it's about the human that came and spoke to me, like, because I didn't lend an ear at a stage, I didn't lend an ear at all.
Yeah.
Hence, I've come to value humanity so much.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, haven't I needed an ear?
You have.
Haven't
certainly.
I?
Yeah.
So that's where we're at. And then, like, you look at it in hindsight and you're like, damn, like, what did that cost to bring us to our knees like that? But also, what created the problem? Scarcity.
But scarcity. So, but maybe for our viewer, whoever, what really happened there?
I think it's an age-old problem, A production company found themselves sitting with production money from whatever client or agency that they have, and clearly the business was struggling,
Sure.
and the business was going down.
Yeah.
And I suppose I didn't go in knowing that,
Yeah.
I went in with my own perceptions about that business.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes when Black people trade with each other, we don't always do proper due diligence.
Sure.
We go on what's
We are
being
trusting. It's like,
presented on your
Yeah.
credentials. We go on what's being presented on your socials. We go on what's being presented in the industry, and we think, no, Mari,
the money, yeah.
so. And I'd never heard not a bad word. So, but when I found out, I started protecting the client. I didn't try and protect that business in hindsight.
Sure.
I started protecting the client.
Yeah.
It's my job to protect the client, obviously. It's the client's money. I've got to do everything possible to make sure that I'm a credible business. When a client gives me their money, it has to be safe. You can't just campaign
Virtually,
budget.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I have to run a good business.
Yeah.
But now I'm realizing that I also want to create protections from the value chain that's producing this. Because what if somebody's business goes down in the middle of a campaign? How do you respond to that?
Yeah.
How do you respond to that?
Yeah.
Old me old me didn't know that, I guess until you've gone through things in your business, like you're so judgy and you're so, it's not about whether I was in the right or not.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have taken the steps I take daily if I didn't have the courage of my own conviction.
Yeah.
I'll always do what I believe. I trust myself. I like myself. I know that my decisions are based in the values that are the most important to me, which include, just basic right and wrong and that kind of thing. However, even with that filter, I was a different person like in 2019 when I hadn't gone through pandemic.
Yeah.
I was a different person on the other side of that pandemic for sure.
Yeah.
I just have more grace to give. And if I'm engaged with vulnerability and honesty, I'll probably try and save the situation versus, getting offended by it and getting angry and running legal processes that are, and people try to tell me, like, even in the legal firms that I'm with, like, isn't there other ways to resolve? And I'm like, no, because this person doesn't value this or this person doesn't value that. But over time, we can start a case, and in the next 2 to 3 years, it evolves.
Yeah.
It evolves not just you, but it evolves the dynamic between the two people that started, in a case against each other, and you can win. Like, arguably, I won. I won everything I wanted to win from that case.
Yeah.
But what did I win?
What did you win, Bella?
The closing down of another.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
not
I
there.
mean,
Did you get
that's-
paid your money? Yeah.
No, not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet. And of course, I will. I'll resolve on that one. But it's just, what did I win?
Yeah.
And when I say that, I'm like, what's been the opportunity cost? What did I spend?
I get you.
So it's like, and that's why I'm like, scarcity mindsets create scarcity moves.
Shoo. Yeah.
Abundant mindsets create more abundance.
Yeah.
And now I look upon, that business, all of them, with a kind of maternal protection. Like I've had rooms that give me some privilege. How do I just really make this situation better? Because the things I see, the things I know, because the bodies I'm on, the access to information that I have, the access to support that is so needed.
Yeah.
How do I show up differently? What if I find you in a bad season?
Yeah.
Am I going to judge you based on your resources or judge you based on your potential? How am I going to enable your potential? It's like, I don't know. It's like I've changed.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just bring it back. Yeah, it's getting a bit now too heavy. It's becoming
Sorry.
Podcast and chill now.
Hardly. I think we're having
but it's fun.
really authentic conversation.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's just about, for me, we sometimes have massive blind spots.
Yeah.
And we've been told that running a business looks a certain way.
Yeah.
The reason I used to be so dogmatic is someone said to me that if you are trying to get shareholders and you are trying to capital raise, and then they see your dead book and they see that Muswana, you don't know how to go fetch your money, it's gonna make you look bad.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh crap, I need to just be a certain way. No, there's more things. The way of doing business has evolved.
It has.
People that show up with vulnerability, courage, honesty, transparency, humility, to know that they actually do better, those businesses, than the ones that show up with toxicity, show up with, it's just a whole new world.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do business in a certain way anymore.
Yeah.
I want to do business in a way that my humanity and the humanity of someone else is safe, it's protected, and it's dignified.
Yeah.
And I guess that's not salacious. If you'd asked me this question 2 years ago, you'd have gotten a different answer.
Yeah.
But I've just learned some, and when you know more, you want to show up better. And I think this is what better looks like for me. If I find someone in crisis next time, if I find out timeously, I would have the benefit to show up different for them in a situation where they are impeded.
Yeah. Cool. So how no gola le ko Mafikeng or go Blom. You remember there was like generations.
Yes. I love Karabo. Karabo Moroka.
Karabo Moroka. What was another
know.
one? What was another one? Ezweni was Ezweni and what? New Horizons.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yes.
So you come from like Luena Hanusha William and you're like, yeah, but I want to do this. I want to run my own agency like this. Or how? Or
I think first and foremost, Morokas are my family.
For real? For real?
For real, for real.
Oh, okay.
So growing up, and you are from the Moroka Setlogelo family, that wasn't the first moment where my legacy and the legacy of my grandfather, my father, my father's father had been represented. What I mean by that is when I got to Wits University, for example, there was still Setlogelo Technikon in
I think I know
in Pretoria.
Yes.
You know, when I was a little girl going to a Sun International casino or hotel, there'd be Setlogelo Dam on the way there.
Yeah.
When I was going to anything, they've just been great institutions of my family. And when I was a little girl, going to the farm, you know, my father says to me, as far as your eye can see is our land.
Yeah.
I mean,
Unalele fatikele.
babe, rock lefati. You know?
Yeah.
I just think there'd been so many institutions of greatness that it instilled in me a sense of continuing a legacy. Someone in my family cared so much about education that's what that looked like. Somebody cared about water and conservation and availed their land to ensure that, you know, a dam could be built. That means something to me. Someone in my family cared about the way this country's oppressive laws were affecting our people. And they showed up politically for that. Someone in my family's always been doing something. And it doesn't mean people in my family don't do fucked up shit too.
They
don't
do.
believe it.
They do.
You wouldn't believe it. Doesn't mean it just means like if you come from a great legacy, you want to continue great legacies. My grandfather studied in an Ivy League institution. He went to one of the top 20 in the world right now, top 50 in the world back then when he was going. He studied at the University of Edinburgh. He became one of the first 7 black doctors in the country. His cousin, Moroka, was studying with him. They were there together. A family that's able to do that for their kids during, well, they weren't kids, they were grown-ass men when they were qualifying, but a family that's able to do that using access to land, mortgaging your land to be able to study. I mean, it's a different bartering system. So when I saw New Horizons and I saw Bokarabo or whatever, sometimes I laughed because it's like you try and see it in the family and you're like, Batong, kana king fundi vundla. Buagang.
Buagang, because Kironaba.
You know, but sometimes you see it and you're like, it's actually just about that character. And I love what that character represents. I love the story of New Horizons. I love the story of Karabo, you know, Moroka. I love the story of Tau Mokhale. Imagine if black businesses can be institutions like that, you know, and still have all the usual family trouble.
So Maranani, like, did it not influence you to
absolutely
be on some, I want to have my own agency? Because I mean, we grew up on that.
I think, in a way, I just really admired a particular character. That character to me, because I know her, is more than a character. If you know Connie Ferguson and you know what she's doing in productions right now, it's like I admire her not just for what she's played and this sort of depiction of advertising and representation in media for young people, like for us that were growing up. It's also just what she's done holistically, not just the character Karabo, but the person Connie Ferguson. And you're like, that is so dope. And you're creating so many opportunities. And you're making this industry like stand up and be recognized for like talented executives, like as well as talented like cast and I mean it's phenomenal, right? So I think I was greatly influenced by her. At first it was the character, you know,
and then there's
later on it's the woman, and then I love seeing women like her, Khanyi Dlomo, Basetsana, you know, Joanna Makhalemele. I love seeing those women because it says to me, oh my God, boss up. Just boss up. Look at them. And they get through everything. They get through being talked about. They get through everything because they know it's a long game. What do they know? I want to be part of those networks and find out how to stay sustainable. You know? And they're all such incredible humans. I want this thing, Botu. But now once we started relegating away from Soseo. Ubuntu.
Remises. So I think it's very difficult to be an indie, you know, or like an independent agency in South Africa. So would you buy into, or would you buy into like a bigger network? So if maybe like a big group said no, because you have your own group, but then the big group comes through and say, no, we like what you do, we see you, we want to buy you out, or we want to.
When I have done what's in my heart to do, when it's transformed, then I'll sell.
Only when it's transformed?
When it's transformed.
Okay.
Because that's what I care about right now. I can't watch people be made desperate, know that I will sell and have a really big cash out. You know, because remember, the person that was my early business development consultant was building agencies in New York. Came from I told you about the guy just in our conversation that
you did.
That was consulting you know, for these agencies. And I had a coffee with him, and he came from a JP Morgan background. And he was giving me the sort of financial value built to this level in time for big world events where network agencies are buying local businesses. You need to be turning this revenue in order to be even considered to. So at first I was like building to sell. And then I was building.
That's why you had a lot of stuff. I was
building to sell, you know, like once upon a time. And then I realized just the inherent issues. And then I realized that I had the power to influence them. Because at first I just didn't consider myself to have any influence in what's happening to us. It was just all happening to us, and that's that. One day, this isn't happening to us. We're just gonna show up to be the change. And sometimes it's not just lip service. It's like we feel disheartened by our lack of resources to show up to those convictions, right? And then suddenly you're like, man, you know, let's actually just show up, because what's gonna happen here? What's gonna happen here? You know, if somebody of my learnings and experience isn't in the industry, what does that look like? How many doors shut because I wasn't there? And it's not like an egotistical, I'm not validated by any form of grandiose. I don't want to, I used to run from responsibility constantly. I didn't want to be foisted with either black tax or foisted with being a matriarch or foisted with any of the social sort of ways in which women are made mothers to others, you know, and always not looking after themselves. I didn't want to do none of this. But then it became my fight. You know? Because now all of this rigged system started affecting me and mine. You know? By the time your mom is selling her house
Yeah.
to make a company that is award-winning,
Yeah.
a company that's had work celebrated all the way from Cannes Lions all the way to you name it.
Yeah.
And that company with 30 talented people in the one company, 10 in the other group, all talented, all have worked for network as well as me, etc.
Yeah.
Because are black people cheaper because they're hired by black agencies? No, they still cost the same. Like
Yeah.
your cost to work is the same, whether
Yeah.
you're at little old boutique Roth or whether you're at a network, right?
Yeah.
There's an industry standard. There's what you negotiate
Yeah.
because of your value. There's so much. So it costs me the same to play in the industry for the 2%. That bugged me.
Sure.
That keeps me up at night.
And how's that going? Are you winning at this?
I am gonna win.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, I don't know if you know, I always win.
Yeah. So how many awards did you win so far?
So far,
Yeah.
maybe the business is good for 10.
Yeah.
I don't always enter for awards.
Yeah.
I am more concerned about, my scorecard
Yeah.
and some of the other things that are
Guys.
sitting in my scorecard.
Why do you always shy away from awards? I mean, come on. I mean, advertising industry is all about, well, it's not all about awards, but I think, creatives, whatever, agencies pride themselves in winning awards.
They do, but
Yeah. Do you not? Do
No.
you not? Roth Media, do you guys not pride yourself? Like, yeah, we won a Lurie or we won a whatever. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
DAPs are cool and everything. It's great to get, recognition.
Yeah.
But I realized that it's more important to get reward.
Yeah.
What are we paid?
Okay.
What am I winning awards for?
Yeah.
Low budget, high impact. Who's that feeding?
Yeah.
Is that the corner I'm going to be relegated to forever? Always, so clever.
Yeah.
All this result
Yeah.
for all of this investment.
Yeah.
Bruh,
But when
Kanti, it's rigged. Rigged. I'm chasing my tail here trying to win awards for shit that's rigged.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I want recognition.
Yeah.
I think when you're working with a team,
Yeah.
they want to feel the impact of the awards. They
Sure.
want awards.
Yeah.
They want to have
Yeah.
the mantle that I have for
Yeah.
my career.
Yeah.
But it's more important to have reward.
Yeah.
What are you paid?
Yeah.
Because I'll always build a business where, to quote Malcolm Gladwell, people can be autonomous and creative, right? Because I feel like taking responsibility and being entrepreneurial creates better leaders.
Yeah.
When somebody leaves my business,
Yeah.
I want them to be so much greater that I can't even afford them.
Yeah.
So it means that we've got to show up for the reward conversation.
Yeah.
But now I was the only one showing up for the reward conversation because the industry wasn't paying me the value of what I was putting in.
Yeah. No, but I mean, shouldn't you be, because you are an agency owner, shouldn't you be like, because you are having those conversations with clients as to, this is how much your retainer is and, you are crafting those.
No. So what started happening is clients are like, this is what our budget is.
Oh.
And then this is what our ask is. And then at first, until this sort of commission around transformation, before the commission into just why the industry isn't transforming, I think we weren't looking at the numbers.
Yeah.
We weren't looking at the value of our pie. I always knew that I'm being paid the crumbs, because I'd been in situations where the network is the lead agency,
Yeah.
and then Rebosi ba PR, Rebosi ba influencer, Rebosi
Yeah.
ba events.
Yeah.
All our work is just relegated to nothing,
yeah.
until they realize, oh my God, like there's a big stream in what gets paid to influencers, and we need to like get a piece of the pie of that.
Yeah.
It's just all inauthentic and all those things. And
Yeah.
I don't blame them. They're network agencies. They've got to make money for their business model. I just don't blame them. It's just that like they haven't shown up to partner in the right way.
Yeah.
They haven't respected the trade exchange of the ideas that we come up with and pay us for our value. How would you run with the ideas of the smaller guy and not pay the smaller guy? All of these things. Like, why are we still hidden figures? Sometimes we're not disclosed in the client room. So even when you're supporting the work,
Yeah.
you don't get the kudos.
And you get to sign the
Sometimes
NDA
you're
that you
brought
can't
in-
even talk about the fact that
Sometimes
you
you're
were.
brought into the room for token reasons,
Yeah.
and you didn't know, and then you perform the job and everyone's won their account and you just sidelined.
Sure.
And it's my idea, and because I'm me,
Yeah.
I always let my idea pick up some equity before I go sue you for it. Go make money on the idea.
Yeah.
I'm coming.
Yeah.
If it's my idea. But I'm a Capricorn.
Yeah.
I will always go back
Yeah.
for what you owe me.
Yeah.
Like you will give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. Yeah. It's
Standard.
stock standard.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a massive network or a massive corporate, not paying smaller players in the market. I just don't mess with that.
Yeah.
But going forward, I'd love to avoid it with better IP protections in my business
Yeah.
rather than ending up in that situation constantly.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean about the business sort of backbone from a support standpoint.
Yeah.
You know, the legal support, the accounting support, the finance support. These things are all important,
Yeah.
not just your deep smarts and creativity.
Yeah. How have the culture now influenced marketing in the last decade? I think in your view.
I mean, as somebody who's been to things like the Cannes Lions, for example,
Sure.
you know, I walked into a wall there that said strategy kicks the arts of tactics, you know, something along those lines. But culture eats strategy for breakfast, you know?
Ooh, I think I've seen that.
Yeah, something along the lines of, you know, oh yes, I remember the line. Strategy beats tactics,
Yeah.
but culture eats strategy for
For
breakfast.
breakfast, yeah.
And I just like, whoa. But the truth is, Black people have always been about culture. Indigenous people have always been about culture.
Yeah.
For us, culture's always been everything.
Yeah.
It's just that our culture wasn't previously valued. And when it was becoming appropriated, then the value of it was being seen.
Yeah.
Because in the old regimes, our culture was everywhere, but were you paid for it? No.
No.
So when there was a big sort of rainbow nation that was running around with the concept of Ubuntu, were you paid for it? When wokeness became like a Black American concept of understanding the institutions that are keeping oppression alive and well, and then wokeness went global,
Yeah.
were they paid for it? When hip-hop was building brands and creating luxury segments in urban spaces,
Right.
were they paid for it?
No. I mean, you know, the funny thing now is that I just realized, or I just had a story that Pusha T, Pusha T wrote the line, well, he wrote the song actually, McDonald's, I'm Loving It.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I didn't even know about that.
But he doesn't have the royalties to that, no.
I mean, the
he
guy
doesn't own
that-
the royalties, yeah.
I mean, we were finding out with this piece of work that Beyonce did on Disney with also Black is King and all those things.
Yeah.
That the story about the song
Yeah.
In the Jungle,
Yeah.
and how that guy and that family were never paid for such a massive song
Yeah.
at Disney.
Yeah. It's crazy, hey?
It's so crazy. So for me, culture is about preservation. It's about culture's about equity. Culture's about making sure that that culture is, you know, sometimes it feels like corporates speak about culture as if they're protecting an indigenous community. You know, the San culture of, you know, the
Yeah.
Khoi culture of this area, the Aborigines, you know, oh my gosh, this Haka moment is happening. Culture for me is about how we show up to preserve the things that have sustained us for millions of years. Millions of years.
Yeah.
Culture will shift everything because culture is tectonic, like in how it moves.
Yeah.
You know? Culture isn't asking for permission. Culture is stuff that is inherently here because it works.
Yeah.
You know, culture is things that have been positioned for swag. Dope, that's great, you know?
Yeah.
But culture is also about understanding your own value.
Sure. Yeah.
And when that looks good and healthy, I think we just are able to do things with culture that
Yeah.
like you just don't get it.
Yeah.
I mean, we're having a really big global South African moment right now. Rwine, got everything. Let's talk about a surprise.
Yeah.
But you're proud of you know?
Yeah.
Rugby, soccer, netball,
Yeah.
the Grammy there. You know, someone wins some global thing around culinary stuff and a recipe that did this. And it's a big South African moment.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time like I'm doing global work, right?
Yeah.
Where South Africa's moment, I'm a piano. South Africa's moment is this big.
Yeah.
The last time was Mandela. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
like that was just the last time
Yeah.
that there was just this big, you know, Mandela and this rainbow nation. And then you go to anywhere in the world and people be like, oh, you're from South Africa, Mandela. Now it's like you're from South Africa. Oh my God, the ICJ.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this. Oh my God, I'm a piano. Oh my God, like, you know, do you know how to do the dances? Oh my
Yeah.
God, this. Like,
Yeah.
it's like a big South African moment. And it's because our culture, you can't contain it.
So strong.
It's so strong. Even on social media.
Yeah.
Have you seen when anyone global is trying to talk down to our culture or talk down to our talent or
Yeah.
talk down to,
They get hammered in a big way.
you know, it's like we always protect
Yeah.
home turf.
Yeah.
But don't be talking about
No.
us. Like don't be
Yeah.
even, you know?
Yeah.
And that's just what's so dope about us. Like we have this brand of resilience that is going back to like a source information where the more we learn about ourselves is the more we show up to spaces that we're not asking for permissions to be, you know, anymore.
Yeah.
We're just showing up in the room.
Yeah.
We're taking seats. We're negotiating. And for me, it's like a soft energy. We're just winning.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't see Sia
Yeah.
go out there insulting other teams. I didn't see the netball guys go.
Yeah.
It's like we're just moving from a space of we've got enough fucking problems.
Yeah. So
I could be bothered, you know?
So when you went to Cairns, where you've entered, obviously you had entered.
I've entered.
Yeah.
It's really expensive to enter.
Yeah.
It's you know, it's also a community where for me, I guess I wanted that validation.
Yeah.
You know, to know, like, have I built the right sort of system
Yeah.
of creative engineering
Yeah.
And design in my business?
Yeah.
And then when I knew, it's like cool. I don't
So
know
that
if
was it, yeah.
I'll need to go back for validation anymore because I feel like I kind of stopped needing validation.
Yeah.
Because consider from whence it comes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool beans, man. Jeez, yeah. There
Come
we-
on. What else you got? What else you got? Come on.
Nah, I'm good. I'm good. I don't know. I mean, unless if maybe you wanna, share something that I didn't touch on. You wanna talk about something. You wanna be controversial a little bit. We gotta be trending out here. I don't wanna just be trending for being I know I might trend as a meme.
Well, I mean, it's like, the question is, what was your purpose in starting the podcast?
I wanted to, because I come from the background, the space advertising industry myself. So I wanted to chill with cool people, man. I want to interview people like you, man. I want to hear stories, man. How'd you make it? How you start? How did you get where you were? I mean, because you've moved probably where I haven't. I've moved where you, But for me, I wanted.
How do you create spaces of cross learning?
You know what I mean? I want to hear your journey into
Yeah.
this. That's pretty much why I'm doing this. And I love the industry so much. I love this industry.
Yeah.
It's just difficult though. To exist in this industry, it's too much. But
It's a lot, yeah.
but I love it nonetheless. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's why I have the space.
So then I think you shouldn't even worry about trending. You're going to trend for your content.
Yeah.
Because I think, you care so much about culture that people are going to really resonate with that.
Yeah.
You know, you care so much about how it's shifting and how it's moving and how it's evolving and what those opportunities are unlocking for us, and making sure that we have a voice in shaping that, so that we're all contributing to it, or at least we know enough, you know, to know how to like continue to build what it is that we're doing in all our respective corners. So I think that like you take for granted like how beautiful your theme is. You take for granted how important creating spaces for dialogue are.
Yeah.
And you take for granted how much access you have to, you know, all your industry contacts.
Yeah.
You know, I think you're going to find that you're going to trend for opening doors. And you're going to train for, you know, and I think that the podcast space, I've been in the podcast space for a long time. Like,
Yeah.
I have a podcast that our business used to do that was sponsored by one of our clients called The Hustle Flow, right?
Oh, jeez, okay.
And
it's still there out there?
it's still out there.
Yeah.
You know, we were doing this 2016,
Yeah, you see, I need a fact checker.
17.
Research how, whatever, yeah.
And when we were doing this podcast, you know, it's like, even though I knew the medium was becoming so important, it's like we were just so focused on, oh my God, we're able to get this interview with this person, and just showing up to make
It's
it
exciting, you know?
It's so exciting,
Yeah.
you know? And the podcast its founder was just such an incredible human. She had an MBA in you know, I think innovation. So the quality of her conversation with all these entrepreneurs, but it was really about the hustle, right? At the end of the day, that's the story, that's the magic.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, just don't take for granted. Like, I know there's a lot of competition in your space, but it's not your only space, obviously.
No, it's not.
You know,
and besides, I don't have no competition. Nah, I'm doing something completely different, man. There's no competition. I'm not.
That's why I think it's gonna be really dope, and I hope you always get like, you know, the people you want to speak to, because like, come on, like, give voice to culture.
Yeah.
Like, what could be more important?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, Zinga talks culture, but it's hip hop culture.
Yeah.
Mac G, I don't know. Mac G talks what? Everything.
Current
Tabloid,
affairs, I don't know.
whatever.
Like, what it was popping.
Yeah. Penuel talks, you know, more interesting issues or whatever. Spoo talks other, you know. So I
then there's
there's
Fresh
Label
is
Lion.
one now.
Well, Fresh, yeah. I mean, I'm just saying in the space, marketing, advertising. I mean, there isn't a lot of, you know, those guys. I mean, there's Label Lion.
See, the thing is, I
She's
really
quite
buy
good.
into like the quality of the content you get out of podcasts.
Yeah.
I think, you know, that level of engagement in the marketing mix is singular.
Yeah.
You know, it offers like an intersection of video content for publishing, photography. It offers, you know, these sound bites that are, you know, gonna, you know, represent this work in different spaces. It's like it transcends platform and all manner of things. And I just really think that if you go on Spotify or go on Apple and you look at global podcasts, how many of them are showing up for this conversation? Very few. And that's why this is going to be special, you know?
Okay.
So I think...
So you got a winner.
Keep doing what you're doing. And,
Thank you, man. Yeah.
Like, let me know. Like, let's keep making sure that a lot of people are showing up for this conversation.
Thank you.
Because
Thank
it's
you,
really
man.
important.
Yeah. Thank you.
The stories are being told by the culture. Culturally, how people think is slowly dictating what the advertisers want to move towards. The thing is to catch up, but what you find is that marketers who need to implement the speed are backwards themselves. Marketers who are not forward thinkers. We need brave marketing or marketers that can influence culture.